All right, hey everybody, how is it going? My name is Brian with Bluefoot Homestead. Thanks for coming and checking out this video. Yes, I stand with the United States of America. Now I want to start out real quick with a little bit of a story. Back many years ago, heck, almost 20 years ago now, that's kind of crazy. Aging myself a little bit, but knew a guy named Dave. Dave went to culinary school with me. He was a great chef. In the long run. He's no longer with us. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but we kind of lost contact over the years. And yeah, just looking around online and stuff like that, I found out some bad news. So I'm sure he died a happy man, but I don't know. So anyway, Dave, for a year and a half, I went to school with him. Carpooled with him all the way from the east coast of Orlando, east coast of Florida, into the central state at Orlando to go to school. We always pretty much hung out in classes, usually sat together, chatted, talked, passed around ideas and stuff like that on what we wanted to do and all that kind of stuff. So Dave was a retired cop. Not only a retired cop, he was a retired chief police. So he did like 20 years in New York City, in the Bronx, Brooklyn. Ended up heading up a lot of DARE programs, went undercover DA, if that's what it is, drug enforcement, and ended up being the police chief. Now, after school, we both kind of had our own ideas. We're going to open a restaurant together. We never did it. Of course, that's pretty much everybody in culinary school. But, you know, he was doing his thing, and I ended up at this restaurant. It was called the Boatyard. It was part of a hotel and a hotel chain. I was the general manager of that. We had live entertainment. We had a full bar, dance club, restaurant, hotel, the whole works. There's a lot to handle. And I was talking to my manager, the regional, about getting some help. And he said, yeah, okay, you know, if you know anybody or anything like that. I said, yeah, actually I do. I know this guy knows his stuff pretty well, got his stuff together, okay? So I brought him in for an interview, and we sit down, and I introduced him to my regional manager, and my manager just kind of started talking, you know, this is what we have, this, you know, kind of a typical interview. And after about 5 minutes or so, he looked at my friend Dave, and he said, so do you have any questions on things, or should I go ahead and continue? And surprisingly, I was sitting right next to him, kind of a dual interview type thing. He looks at my regional manager and says, you don't intimidate me. I stopped and I looked over at him and I was like, did he really just say that? And my manager kind of stepped back and said, excuse me? He's like, you don't intimidate me. And he just kind of shook his head. He's like, okay, we'll go ahead and continue. You know, and he went about another 5 minutes or so. And this whole time, my mind is just like, what the heck just happened? You know, he's a very professional person, and I handle interviews completely different than that. You know, and at the end of the interview, he's like, well, we would actually like to have you on board. The only thing he said is, you don't intimidate me. And I'm like, how in the living hell did that guy just land a job by insulting a general manager? You know, and my friend's response was, I'll get back with you, or something along those lines. You know, I'll let you know what I'd like to do. Then I'm like, wow, what just happened? And then talking with him after that, it was kind of a power play. My manager was really putting on a forceful forward posture, you know, kind of like I am, even though you can't see me, but and my friend just completely flipped the whole psychological game on him and made my regional manager, in a way, kind of bow down to him. That blew my mind. You know, he told me like some of the details on how he did stuff and whatnot, but I got to thinking after the fact, years later, through the next few years, some people have the means to do things like that. Some people have the mentality and the capability mentally to go through life with that kind of mentality. I like to call him, he's a mover and a shaker. He shakes hands, makes deals, and gets things done in a very efficient and powerful manner. So how does this pertain to I stand behind the United States? Well, there's a lot of people out there. There's survival channels, prepping channels, financial channels, political channels. Everybody's bitching about everything that the U.S. does. The money they spend, yes, we have a problem with it. We have a lot of problems. But nobody is happy on any end with what the country's doing. Everybody's against the United States from within the United States. Now, first of all, I see that as a major issue. Second of all, I see that as a lot of accomplished propaganda from around the world. They've been trying to get us split. China, Russia, both have been dividing us within the control of the U.S. politics, pushing the narrative forward, and the media and all that kind of stuff. So you know how I feel on that. You know, people, like when we went into Ukraine, not when we went into Ukraine, but when Russia invaded Ukraine, my Facebook and multimedia, I always say that, my social media blew up with posts, you know, people changing their profile pictures to the Ukrainian flag saying, I stand with Ukraine, and now everybody's doing it currently with Israel. You know, and I haven't really touched on the current event subjects for a couple different reasons, but, you know, everybody's saying, I stand with Israel, or I stand with Palestine for that matter. That's great. You're allowed to do that. Absolutely. Not once have I ever seen anybody stand up and say, I stand with the U.S. I stand with America. I stand with the decisions they make. Now, I brought up the example with my friend David. This is a person, if he got a job at Walmart, stocking shelves at nighttime as a cashier, door greeter, something like that, he was like 65 years old. He could have done something like that. But this is a man that would, in 6 months, probably have 10 stores underneath him as a regional manager. Now, not everybody can do that. I sure couldn't. You know, maybe after a year, I might be able to be a store manager. I don't have that drive to do that. Regardless, I mean, some people just have the drive, no matter what they're doing, just to go all out. Now, if I don't really care about Walmart, I'm not going to have that drive. I don't have really the mental capacity to deal with the problems and the drama and stuff like that of 150 people. But, and I know you can delegate things out, but besides the point, he would be regional, and he would have taken over a good chunk of what a lot of people can't do. Now, if he wanted to get into politics, he could probably get into politics. He could probably become elected. We actually talked about that briefly a couple times as I was in contact with him. My friend's driving by, my neighbor. He could probably do it and pull it off. So it just kind of gets me thinking that some people have it and some people don't. It doesn't matter, you know, all these yahoos on YouTube and stuff like that saying, oh, you know, Joe Biden's a fluke, which, you know, maybe he is. Now, I could do a better job than him. All right, well, you know what? I'd love to see your name on the ballot, and I'd love to see you in January with your hand on the Bible if you think you can do a better job than him. Because anybody that can do a better job than him might just get elected. Now, of course, I know there's all these inside things and, you know, the parties and stuff like that. But we have a lot of smart people. We have a lot of smart people running our country, whether you like them or not. Joe Biden, don't care for the guy too much. Don't care for his policies. Don't care for the Democratic Party. I don't think he's suitable for being our president, but I will stand behind him. I will stand behind his decisions that he makes, and I'll back him. You know, I mean, my girlfriend, I don't agree with everything that she does, but I stand behind her. I love her. I love this country. a lot of people just have a tendency to diss everything, and nobody wants to really stand behind us. Even our government, our military, we have a lot of scary smart people in our military and our government. I realized, through the little bit of management that I had, when you start going up those levels, the intelligence of the individuals grows substantially. You kind of cap yourself at a little bit of a level until you learn, everything's learnable, until you learn to be able to get the persona, the personality, the attributes, and the knowledge to be able to do the job and be able to deal with people in a certain way, at a certain level. Now, our military is full of that. Our government is full of that. Even our cities, our mayors, our governors, everybody. They're extremely smart individuals. Whether you like what they do or not, they're very smart. Now, when it comes to the war and things like that, well, specifically the war, we have, like our CIA, gathering intelligence, gathering information, bringing it to a group of people who are going to analyze it. They're going to take it up to another person and report to them, who's going to go into another group. Then it's going to go up into what would be Congress and a large group of people, and then they're going to go over everything. This stuff, every decision that's is made with our military and our government, for that matter, goes through a lot of steps. And those steps have a lot of intelligent people in them. Now, I'm not saying everybody's brilliantly Einstein sharp in our government and our military, but we definitely have the smartest in the world in our power, okay? Now, it's like things in Ukraine, the funding going to Ukraine, now the funding going to Israel. The 100 million, I thought it was 100 billion, but I'm hearing everybody say 100 million, so do your research, find out which one it is. The bill just passed. 100% in favor for sending funding over to Israel and Ukraine. That's not easy to do. There's a reason why things like that have happened. There is a reason why we have 3 naval groups of warships out there, 2 aircraft carriers, and all their support. Everybody's wondering, what are we doing? We're just, antagonizing Syria and, all these kind of things, and it's really dumb. There's a much, much bigger picture here, and hopefully you guys can see it. Hopefully there's a major conflict right on the horizon. It has been there for a really long time, and it's amazing that we haven't stepped up our game this far to show a little bit of force. And like Ramaswamy, I like the guy. I kind of wish he would be president. I really veer towards the libertarian side, and he is a libertarian, whether anybody believes it or not. One of the first things he said is he's a libertarian running on the Republican GOP ticket. I like that. I like the extremely small government. But he was very dovish on SHTF, and I can't really get behind that, and even Pence is the opposite side of it. He's like, we need to show brute force. We need to be in there. And I'm like, damn, I don't want Pence, but he's telling it like it is, the only thing I'm really worried about right now are 2 things, the economy and World War III. That's going to be happening. So, I'm sorry, I had to make sure I was in focus. I don't really know what to do there, but it doesn't matter who is in office. It doesn't matter who's making the calls. I'm going to stand behind the U.S. I'm not going to stand behind terrorists. I'm not going to stand behind Ukraine necessarily. Everybody's putting up all this stuff on Facebook, for instance, with the flags and stuff like that. And it's like, do you even know where the hell Ukraine is on the map? What do you know about Ukraine that you are going to stand up to everybody and say, I back this man in this country and everything that they stand for? Ukraine's not a very good country. Zelensky's not a very good leader, and he isn't a very straight shooting forward type of guy. He's a little bit crooked. He's quite a bit crooked. Now with Israel, we have the religious factor going into it. That's going to hold a lot of weight. So, I mean, you're standing behind Jerusalem, you're standing behind Jews, you're standing behind Christianity even. And you're standing for that. Say that you stand for that. Say that you stand for the Jews. What do you know about the leader of Israel? What do you know that he's done? Can you even find Israel on a map before all this happened? Could you point it out? You know, I mean, people just really run to the recent meme of the week, you know, but nobody wants to stand behind the United States. So I'm going to be here and say it right now. I don't care what's going on. I don't really care who's leading. And yes, Joe Biden is our president, whether you like it or not. I stand behind him. I stand behind our military, our Space Force, our government to make the right decisions, because we got some smart mofos in our offices, in our elected offices. And whether I like them or not, they know how to get stuff done. And we got some getting done to do. So with all this going on over the next year or so, we're going to have some really hard decisions to make. We're going to have some very strategic military decisions to make, and it might be catastrophic. It might be a win. It might be a lose. I don't know, but stand behind the U.S. all the way. Proud to be an American. Thanks for watching. You guys have a good day. Peace.